Hi, everyone. I'm going to take the next 3 minutes to get our screen set up. Facebook loves to make changes, surprise, surprise. And they made a change to sharing your screen and streaming through Zoom and Facebook together. So I just have to go through my little setup here. If you're watching the replay, fast forward 2 minutes. And that is when we're going to actually get into the bulk of today's conversation. Those of you joining live, give me a hello. I want to know you're here, and don't mind the setup that might look a little clunky here for a minute, but I'm going to get this ready to go for us so that we can get right into our conversation. So again, bear with me for about a minute now. And I will get us rolling. Okay. Yay. Hey, this is exactly how I want it, you guys. Being a business owner is a lot of trial and error and figuring out new pieces. Being a solopreneur means that I am doing the marketing, the coaching, the technical behind the scenes stuff a lot of times. And so let me tell you, you can try new things, you can learn hard things, you can teach yourself almost anything with the help of YouTube. So shout out to the person who made a whole YouTube video on how to stream and share screen on Facebook in 2024 after they have changed the way things used to be done. But I won't bore you with that. But if you are someone who streams on Facebook and you haven't been able to get the share screen and everything working, know that there is a workaround. There's always a workaround, and I truly believe that. I truly believe that there is always a way to learn something new, to try something new, to go at a different mindset or angle. And that's why I believe in this challenge that we're doing this week, this Fighting Better challenge. You'll notice it's not like how to stop fighting forever. It could be called how to stop having nasty fights, because those aren't helpful. We want to have less of those. They are not helpful for our kids, they're not helpful for us, they're not helpful for our relationship, and all of that is not helpful for the communities and the worlds around us. But I don't think it's realistic to just say, and I also don't think it's healthy to just say completely stop arguing or disagreeing or even having elevated conversations now and then. But we want to use this workshop as a way to have respectful and resolution-based disagreements, arguments, conflicts with our partner. So this workshop is all about why, how, and when to communicate with more respect and results. If you already watched session 1, welcome back. A+ for being on task, being on time. If you have not watched session 1 yet, it's okay. You can be here live with us right now on day 2, or watching the replay of day 2, and then go back to day 1. It's okay to do this out of order, although if you are just starting on the replay here, I would say go back and do 1 first. It's going to give you a foundation. But there's no you have to do this to do this. I'm not being rigid. I'm just trying to make a healthy progression that's going to feel good and understandable to you. For those of you joining for the first time, if you did not see, there is a workbook that goes with this course or with this workshop. So it is a page for each day. I think there's 4 journaling boxes for each day, and you can either download this, print it out, and do paper and pen. I am an old school paper and pen person. I take a lot of notes. I do a lot of things digitally, but when I can, I love to just be writing it out. So that is me. I'm going to print it. I'm going to write it in. Some of you are youthful and cooler than I am, and you might just want to type it in. I put a Canva link. It's in your email. It's also in the Facebook group. I put a Canva link to a template, and all you have to do is press a button that says, use this template to make a new design, and then it's yours. Clean cut. Nobody else can see it. put your text box in, pick your favorite font, make it look how you want. So that is how to engage with this workshop over the next 3 days. Yesterday, our whole emphasis was on recognize. It was to build awareness around triggers and patterns. I asked you to walk away with this new lens of becoming a detective or a anthropologist or sociologist of your own behavior in your own home. And this was to help you to start identifying, where are their triggers? Where are their patterns? When we do this, then we know more clearly what the problem is. We cannot just say the problem is that we get into fights. Okay, that is not really something we can work with and dig into. But if we're able to get more information, then we can say, when this happens, and that's when the conflict starts. Or when I hear this, or when my partner feels this, then this is when a conversation that was on a good road escalates and it goes somewhere we don't want it to go. That's what we want to be able to recognize. Today, we're going to be talking about the feel. So we're going to be going a little bit deeper to understand yourself and your partner's styles and responses. We're going to talk a little bit about communication styles, how you show up for the conversation, and what kind of responses come from that. Tomorrow, day 3, is activate, and we are going to be talking about the proactive tools you can use to improve the quality of conversations and decision making. So that is why we're here. So the same groundwork as yesterday, but I just want to remind you, in case you're listening for the first time or just need a reminder, like a pat on the back or a, oh yes, sister, this is why we're here. First of all, less fighting in the home has a number of benefits for the children. So if you're someone who is like, I can't just do things for me, this is a brain hack, okay? This is what I do with my moms who are martyrs and they have a hard time doing something for themselves. Yes, I want to get you to the place where you feel worthy of doing something for yourself. I want you to get to the place where you feel worthy of doing something for the sake of your relationship. But if you are all in on your kids right now, this is still important. This is going to make a difference because it impacts the stress, the anxiety, the modeling of a relationship, the emotional security, the cognitive development in the home. This is powerful, important work. Also, please remember, this is a personal journey. This is not going to look and sound the same for you as it does for me, or it does for someone else in this workshop or somebody you see online. But I want you to know you're not alone in your feelings and experience, although you're also not cookie cutter. None of us are. This is going to have unique implications and pieces to it based on who you are. You might be starting this work. I think everyone registered for this workshop is a woman, is the wife, partner, female, girlfriend in the situation. You might be starting this work, but the goal is for your partner to join in the growth as well. Maybe you have a partner who's on their own journey of self-discovery and self-growth. Maybe you have a partner who's reluctant to that. The goal is for this to become really something you're working through together. But I tell you this, sometimes I have moms who come to me and they're like, well, my partner's never, like, I don't think they're ever going to grow. I don't think they're ever going to, invest in themselves or the relationship. And that's not something I see often. But when I do, what I want to say is that you live with you forevermore. The only thing you have for certain, as long as you live, is you. And so investing in your growth, your communication skills, your understanding of yourself and how you relate to other people, this is never going to be a waste. So no matter where you are in that relationship piece, I'm glad you're here. The goal of this 3-part workshop is to equip you to disrupt. I meant to change this yesterday. You guys are going to see me make this same mistake twice. To disrupt one or more unhelpful patterns that you and your partner get stuck in. Don't break the helpful patterns. We want to identify the unhelpful patterns and just find one to disrupt, to know how to not make it escalate and go to a nasty place where you feel embarrassed and upset about your behavior, or you feel super disconnected from your partner, or you guys bring in those past resentments and beat each other down with them. These are patterns that are unhelpful, they show up. We want to be able to make progress in this 3 days, 20 minutes, 3 days, in one of those areas. And then you build on that, you grow from there. So today is all about feel. I want you to understand how fights impact your emotions. I want you to be able to recognize the story you're telling yourself about that experience, and to see how your communication styles do or don't line up between you and your partner. This is information, and it also is going to be educating the action steps. So thinking about a recent argument, this could be the same example you used yesterday, or this could be a completely new example. That's up to you. But I want you to name the journey of emotions you experienced. Here are just examples of emotions, but I should have put in here some more neutral, like confident. You're feeling optimistic about it. You're feeling like you just, relieved. How did this start? And then where did it go? What was this journey of emotions that sometime ended up in a place that did not feel good? This fight, this argument did not feel good anymore. How did you show up? How did you feel? What happened that changed how you were feeling? What happened again that escalated or changed even more how you were feeling? So maybe you show up pretty neutral, just wanting to share something or have a conversation with your partner. Then maybe something happens that triggers anger. And then maybe anger, you're feeling shame for the way that you showed anger. And then maybe you have fear of disconnection to your partner. And then you feel lonely because you feel like you presented something, it didn't have a resolution, and now you're alone in that decision or that place of feeling. That's just an example. This could look many different ways. Similar to yesterday, those of you who are watching the replay, you can pause this. That's what's great about watching the replay. You can pause this and continue working through that on your workbook. So now stories. We did a little bit of this yesterday, looking at what we're telling ourselves about our partner's experience. But I want to go a little bit further here about just how that's soaking in, what those feelings are. What's the story you tell yourself during a conflict? I'm worthless. I'm so dumb in these conversations. My partner's never going to hear me. My partner doesn't care what I have to say. We aren't cut out for this together. What happens? What are those repeated stories that come up? That last one is one that I hear a lot. When things get escalated, we tell the story, we're not cut out to be together. We're not able to parent together. We love each other, but this isn't going to work. And maybe it's interesting. For some people, it's really a story about the relationship. For some people, it's really a story about themselves. I'm not worthy of this person. I can never say things the way I want to. I'm so dumb. I lose my cool just like my mom did. What are those stories? And I want to recognize that this is emotional and powerful work and things to be exploring. So I just want to see you, and if big emotions come up, it's okay. It's okay to pause this. It's okay to cry through it. It's okay to not have a big emotional reaction. I just want to see you and validate your experience as you explore these things, because you are here to break cycles and break patterns in your relationship and to provide something for your family, for your kids that is a positive example and feels good. It feels good for you and for your partner. And that can be heavy work. This next piece here is, how do these stories impact your responses and feelings? So the story you're telling yourself, the story that's going on in your head, how does that impact how you respond or feel? I always lose my cool like my mom. That's the last example I just gave. How does that impact how you respond? Are you more likely to just lose your cool and the conversation not go anywhere, not have a resolution because you're like, well, I'm just like my mom. I'm always going to lose my cool. That's what she did. Not my mom personally. I don't actually remember that very often, but this is, just an example. I'm so dumb. I can't explain myself. How does that impact your response and your feelings? Do you feel desperate to like get it out? I'm just trying to like get it all out so that maybe you'll hear me. Maybe you'll understand. Do you cower because you don't feel like you can show up and express yourself? You know what I would do in that example? I would write or I would voice memo before I present information to my partner. I would take a break when I need to, because that's what that would tell me. What it would tell me is that I'm not confident in the heat of the moment, and so I cower down or I try to make myself bigger with just more. But neither of those things aren't working, and so we would interrupt the pattern. If you were my client and that was your situation, we would interrupt the pattern by finding something to kind of take off the edge of that, help you feel confident in showing up in the conversation and feel prepared for it. That would be something that could be a huge game changer, as an example here. And now I wonder, is there a story that you can rewrite in a more neutral light? What I'm not telling you to do here is to rewrite a story in a more positive light or a more rose-colored light. Because we often want to assign so much meaning to something, and not everything has that much extra meaning to it. I find that women specifically are susceptible to this. So I work with couples often, and a couple I'm working with right now, the way the man said it was, I feel like she's assigning me feelings that I don't have. She's assigning parts to the story that aren't true. Because we want to justify, we want to understand things with a weight to them. So we add a positive or a rosy weight or a negative dark weight to it, but some things are just kind of factual, or they're bland, they're neutral. Is there something you can let be more neutral? I have a one-on-one client. I'm just working with her right now, and we're doing the same work on a personal level of some of her work experiences. And she's trying to figure out, what does this mean, or what does this person think of me based on this interaction? How's that going to impact my job? And what I'm hearing from her is not facts, it's the added meaning. And so I've said to her, some of these things, like maybe there is an impact, maybe there is something to explore here, but for right now, these things are still neutral. Can we let them be neutral? Can we let someone's feelings not be about you or not be in response to you, unless you know that that is what's happening? We give ourselves a lot of stress, a lot of extra weight, a lot of anxiety on adding emotions, meaning, trying to fill in gaps to things that sometimes aren't there. So as you think about that, the argument example today, or maybe you're thinking about something completely different, but can we rewrite that in a more neutral light? Just let it be and not let it be so consuming. If you're someone who feels like you either have to go into fight or flight, some other ways that we see this is argument or caving. I'm either going to argue it or I'm going to cave, and I'm not going to have an opinion. I'm either going to share my thoughts or I'm going to repress them. I'm either going to try again or I'm going to shut down. This is something that we see happen. We just talked about this. Two things that are going to be impactful in this. We're on the same team. Okay. Sometimes when my husband and I are starting to feel heated, and we're like, this is probably, I know in my head, like those alarms are going off. This is going to go down a bad road. This is going to go down a bad road. I can't argue. I can't cave. Neither of those things are going to be helpful. If I argue, I'm going to escalate it. I'm probably going to bring in something from the past that always comes up in the arguments, or I'm going to cave and I'm going to be like, well, I'm going to turn mopey. Like, well, I guess my voice just doesn't matter. I guess you just don't care what I think. And guess what? Neither of those things are very helpful. So what has been a game changer is just like grabbing each other's hand or taking a hug or doing something to bring unity. We're on the same page. This is not about you winning and me losing, or me winning and you losing. You've got to be on the same team. We are solving this problem together. It's not me versus you, it's us against the problem. And then you get clarity on what the problem is so that you can walk through it. And you do this by playbacks. Playbacks is as simple as repeating what you think someone said, maybe rephrasing. You hear something from your partner and it makes you assign meaning. You tell your brain what that is. Play that back to your partner. Is that accurate? It's kind of like, I'm not very good at board games, so this metaphor might just totally suck. But you go, maybe checkers, I don't know. You take a step forward and then you've got to evaluate the board again, okay? You can't necessarily plan your move before your partner makes their move and you understand what that was and you're clear about what their move was. So you have to ask for clarity. I know you're probably not asking for clarity during checker, but roll with me here. You have to assess the scene, the situation, every time there's a new piece of information. So when your partner shares something, you want to make sure you're clear about that. When you share something, your partner should be getting clarity on that, making sure that you're working with the same story and the same timeline, and that you're not kind of creating this timeline and story in your head and timeline and story in their head, and then you're arguing over two completely different things, thinking that it's the same thing. Playbacks for clarity are going to help make progress, move this forward. So today's focus, we're going to wrap up here. I want you to be looking for areas of neutrality and areas of clarity. Where can something be more neutral and less charged? How would you gain deeper understanding from a coworker or a friend? So let's say you had an assignment at work and you were told something and you needed to work with that. How would you ask them for clarity? How would you play back to make sure that you had the right information? Slow this conversation down. I know time is limited and this can be stressful. And sometimes we get into this like, time is so scarce and we've got to make this decision and we never have time to talk. And so we just and we don't really get anywhere. So then it's a waste of time. So why not try slowing down, pulling back a little bit and making incremental steps together with understanding, knowing that you're working towards the same kind of resolution and goal here. And if you don't know what you're trying to get to in an argument, let me say this. What the hell are you doing? Stop for clarity and figure out, what are we trying to solve? What are we trying to figure out here? What needs to be addressed, changed, solved? Because maybe you're both running towards different ending lines. You don't even know it. If I were taking this further with a client, and what I like to share this with you because I want you to either know if this is aha and you like know you want to work with me on this, this is where we'll go. Or if you are a DIYer and you're like, okay, I've had these insights, what do I do next? Or what do I explore next? Here's what you can do and explore next on your own, with a coach, with someone you already work with your friend, with your partner, whatever. It would be digging into your personality and communication styles. This is the core needs that you have. I use the Enneagram for this. This is attachment styles. This is your love style and how you give and receive love. And this is whether or not you're an internal or external processor. I think I actually have a podcast on all of those topics. So you can maybe find those on the Better Relationships After Baby podcast too. But this is where we would go, because this is going to give some of the, it's going to inform why you're showing up the way you are, what you're seeing the world through what lens, how you're perceiving needs and connection and things like that. So this is going to take it even to a more personal level. If you today or yesterday have an aha moment or a, okay, what now moment, I'm making an offer through this workshop to do a 10-minute problem-solving phone call with you or some voice memos back and forth. This is a free, like, I want this workshop to make families better, to make couples more confident, to make homes cozier and warmer, and, you know, people that are able to contribute to bettering society because their home life is really solid. So and if talking through something is going to help you do that in your life, let's do a free 10-minute call or some free voice memoing back and forth. I do voice memos with people on Instagram, if that's your jam, or I can do, or on Facebook, it's totally fine too. Or I use a free app called Voxer that is basically just a memo, a voice or text app back and forth. And that is an easy way you can process out. I can ask you some clarifying questions or give you some tips to your situation. But I want to help you apply this information and make good of it. So again, if you want more on the topics of fighting, arguing, communication, having more of that connection between you and you, because that's really important, and you and your partner, I have a podcast, Better Relationships After Baby. You can find that on Spotify. What's the other one? Apple. Or, you know, if you just Google it, you're going to find it across platforms. I have a blog, postpartumtogether.com, where you can find a lot of these topics. You can reach out to me by email or Insta if that is how you want to connect. But I really want to hear what comes up for you. I want to make sure you have these resources right here, the blog and the podcast, to go deeper into some of these topics, have more to work with, share with your partner. Okay. If you love this workshop, which I hope you do, I would love for you to share it with your partner. Have them go through the practices, print out the workbook, compare your notes, and see how much information you could get from yourself from that. All right, I am Chelsea Skaggs. I'm a life and relationship coach who focuses on marriage and relationships after baby. I help pregnant couples to figure out how they want to work together as a team after having a baby. I help new parents figure out how to adjust to the WTF and OMG moments of adding a baby to the family. And then I help seasoned parents, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old kids, figure out, okay, we've been raising this child for a while now. How do we reconnect with one another? How do we set the tone for the family we want to be? How do we live life intentionally and on purpose? And so if that is something that you would love support in because you are ready to grow in that area, let me know. I am here to hold space for you, to be the accountability you need to make changes, and to bring my experience with others who have been in your shoes to the table, along with my background in psychology, sociology, and my nerd out studies of communication. I want to bring all that to you to make this tangible, so that you can really enjoy marriage and life and having a family, even in this messy world, right? Like sometimes we have to say, even in this messy world where there's so much out of our control, it's possible to lean in more to yourself, to your partner, and to enjoy that. And that is what I want for you.